Hello everyone, it's Ashwin Rao, and in today's video I am going to pick out a few of my coolest boots. Boots that I think are truly special amongst what I would consider to be a special collection that I've assembled. Now, this is kind of going to be random and it's kind of going to be spontaneous and in the moment. And I wanted to take you through some of the beautiful pairs that I've acquired from the shoe and boot world, the heritage and classic world. And I'm just very happy to have this collection that I feel is reaching maturity. And just wanted to feature a few of the makers, that's hilarious. A few of the makers that I think are truly special in this space. So one of my coolest acquisitions is this guy. This is from Creosote boots. I think I might have gotten the very first and only pair of Creosote boots ever available on the used market, at least anything that I've been aware of. Maybe I am wrong about that. I've been in the stitch down community as well as surfing on Grailed and eBay and all the spots for years, and I've never seen a pair of Creosote boots become available over the course of my time in the boot game. And Gabbard from Creosote specifically designs his boots as made to measure, made to order, almost bespoke level fit to tailor specifically to the people for whom he is working with to design these amazing boots. But the 9 Ditches boot, this is the 9 Ditches Undertaker, was originally available for order back in, I believe, 2020. Has this very unique toe profile. The whole aesthetic of Creosote is just super cool to me. You can see the color of the leather. It's struck through with this blood red color, so it will eventually T-core when this overdyed black layer starts to fade, and you'll see hints of red pop through. You can actually see it in light already. And this really cool gray-brown edge dressing that I believe was initially a black overdye that was then faded by Gabbard, and it gives you just a really cool look. Unique derby boot. The 9 Ditches has this unique back heel counter with almost like a ridge back on it, and I just love the fit of this boot. I was lucky in that I got this boot and it turns out it fits me exceptionally well as any other boot I own, and I'm just really happy with this boot. It's got vintage military rubber toppies on the base. You can see the cool work done on the waist here, the unique nail design. I think of Creosote kind of like I would think of a Maybach, a Maserati, something exotic that you can't come across every day. Let's go with Maybach. One of the coolest boots available on the market today, one of the best makers. Truly a great guy who welcomed me into his family, basically, of those who own his boots. I was worried that, gosh, you know, he, I think, discourages people from selling boots because he wants them to fit perfectly. But here I am, kind of an imposter, skipping the line, getting this boot on the used market. And Gabbard spent the time to chat with me on his own accord. We've gotten to know each other. Since then, I've ordered both his cardigan that his wife's company Kinfolk is making for me, as well as his collaboration jacket with Field Leathers. So I've clearly committed to Creosote as a brand, but this was my first acquisition right there, the 9 Ditches Undertaker boot in a Wickett and Craig overdyed leather, just uniquely beautiful, one of my coolest boots. Where else should I go for cool boots? Well, it's hard to go any further than the 3 I have from Flame Panda. I featured this boot recently in a cleanup video, so I'm going to move one over to this boot. This is Peng, the master of Flame Panda, and his service boot pattern, which I consider to be essentially his second best boot pattern after the mock toe pattern. I really love the style quality of his stitch down construction. You can see how clean this stitching is done, all hand done. Everything about this boot speaks to the style and class. This is done in a Shinki Hikaku horse butt leather. The Shinki Hikaku tannery does a really unique tanning process that creates this very unique reticulated pattern, which is part of the natural grain of the horse hides that they use. And as I've worn this boot, you can see that it's starting to T-core. Something I wasn't actually familiar with about the Shinki leathers is that they actually are almost over-dyed, maybe in the tanning process or soon thereafter. So they have this pretty dramatic T-coring effect that I am looking forward to evolving. So really cool boot. I could certainly talk about the Chelsea as well, but I think that this is one of my favorites of any of my boots, and from Flame Panda out of China. Moving over to Indonesia to a substantially less known maker. This is my pair from Kwan Penel. Crew is led by Kenwin Small, who is pretty active on both Facebook and Instagram, is the man behind Kwan Penel out of Trinidad and Tobago, but the manufacturer of his boot line, specifically this heritage rugged boot line, is in Indonesia. I'm actually not entirely sure who the maker is, has had a few name changes along the ways, but it's somebody who's worked with other makers in the past and has a high quality skill set in boot making. Definitely a very cool boot. The thing that I love about this boot is that I designed it. I designed and drew up this pattern. I took the Galway pattern and I wanted to make it more rugged. The Galway being the Edward Green Galway, a country style boot with English heritage, with typically a down peaking side panel here. I decided to go with an up peaking panel, and I wanted to do a triple row stitch to really emphasize this. And this design was really done great because you can see how the leather rolls. This is a Merriam Tanny black horsehide leather, or horse butt leather. It has a really soft, nice, supple handle, and it rolls really well. And this, coupled with Dr. Sole white half sole, just I think adds to the beauty of this boot. We chose 5 eyelets and 3 speed hooks to set it aside from the Galloway, which is a 4-and-4 design. It has a true cap toe, you can see here, with broguing. The Galloway has a false cap toe with just stitching without the broguing. And then a unique back heel stay and counter with this pull tab that's integrated, and this design that's characteristic of many of the Indonesian boot making. They tend to have their own kind of signature styles for the back heel. And I just love how the curves of this pattern, the curve of this pull tab, the curves blend into the side pattern and lead your eye towards the design. I think this is a cool design, and obviously I'm very biased because heck, I designed it. So this is a super cool boot by a super cool maker out of Indonesia as well. This is the venerable Rizky Afnan of Underhood, handmade, and this is a very cool leather that he's used to make his pretty iconic service boot pattern. This might be his most famous pattern. He's got a number of different patterns, including his lace to toes and some of his other styles that are very well regarded. This particular model is made from a unglazed natural shell cordovan from the Horween Tannery, not the Merriam Tannery, the Horween Tannery. This leather is shell cordovan, but it is designed to be a patina monster in that it's unglazed, meaning it'll pick up the sort of coloring of the environments in which you walk through. So say fall leaves, whatever denim you might be wearing, this leather will eventually not only darken, but it will pick up some of the colors along the way. I've been very intentional about trying to slow burn these shoes in terms of patina, and I'm very happy with this design and maker. I got this on the used market, and I'm very happy that the person who sold it to me gave me a pair that I can grow with over the times of my life. Moving a little to the north and to the west, from Ostmo is another amazing boot, one that has gained increasing attention in the boot community because of the style being so popular. This is a Norwegian style service boot, a throwback to Norwegian heritage World War II style boots, recreated by Ostmo boots out of Norway. And this is actually one of Lars. Lars is the person behind Ostmo. And Lars made his pair number 166 right there for me. One of the last boots he actually made for the general public. He's had a few releases of specific pairs on Instagram. He puts them up for lottery, but he reached out to me needing some cash actually a few years ago to kind of help with his project that has led to that collaboration with Iron Boots, which also releases this pattern, but is made by the Iron Boots team. Also a fantastic pair of makers, Ostmo and Iron Boots. Iron Boots being these two pairs right here, they do an incredible job too, but they've taken on the work of creating and reproducing this boot in a variety of leathers. The Iron Boots times Ostmo collaboration is probably one of the most well-regarded in today's boot making world. But this pair, super cool because it's made actually by Lars from Ostmo. It's one of his originals, on number 166 he's ever made. He's made a handful since then. It's got this really beautiful rivet. It's made from a dead stock leather. This is a coral rough out leather from a tannery out of Norway. I think it's the Ernest tannery. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but this is a tannery that no longer exists and a leather that obviously no longer is made because the tannery is gone. So what you get is what you get. Most of the Ostmo makeups have either all speed hooks or 3 eyelets and then the 5 speed hooks. So I went with this style. It's a couple years old now. Really, truly one of my favorites. So great boot here. If we shift on over to another really great makeup that I've been talking about a lot recently, this is Katoko Handmade. So Katoko is run by CKEO out of Singapore, but his manufacturing team is based out of Indonesia, specifically Bandung. Many of his collaborators have worked with brands such as Midas and have incredible skill set in hand welting, hand lasting, hand crafting, hand designing, hand cutting, hand everything. This pair, and this is the first pair I got. This is the very first pair, I think, of old boys that made it out into the wild. This one being in a Shinki Hikaku cognac shell cordovan leather with a half sole. You can see there's a little fiddleback designed into this pattern. A lot of the old boy models have a rivet. This one does not, but I'm just in love with this boot and how it's aging and it's rolling. The Shinki, it's given me a new definition of what the Shinki Hikaku tannery is capable of because my previous experiences had been mediocre. Katoko is one of the up-and-coming brands coming out of Indonesia and Singapore, and I really think they deserve your attention. Really fantastic maker. Super cool boot, and just one that I'm thrilled about. This guy right here, very cool makeup from King's Boots. Kind of a roper style side zip boot. There's the side zip. King's Boots does some really cool, unique work in terms of their heel design, their arch support. You can see how this heel has asymmetric design, which I've very rarely ever seen. Very cool design. And then this built-in arch support. Standard & Strange just released a number of different models from a maker, I believe, maybe related. They have a collaborator somewhere in the world, I believe it's China, that's doing these arch support models. I had never seen that, although I know that the design had existed before. But King's Boots, out of China, one of the most underappreciated shoemakers, has really nice lasts, really innovative designs that still fit and are not too outrageous. Really great design for a side zip boot. I've had this for a couple years now. Very happy with this particular boot. Let's finish with one last super cool boot from another brand that I just love. I actually have another one that's hiding over there, down there, that I'm not going to talk about just yet. This is the Two Monkeys Sportif model out of Japan. Two Monkeys is essentially an offshoot of the company Gelato, who is a fashion and clothing brand based out of Japan and into the heritage world, collaborating with the person who ran Red Wing Japan for a long period of time to create this unique design of boot, mock toe, with this really beautiful upper leather, blind waist. And they have a combination Goodyear welt for the first 180 degrees of the shoe here. And then they do the waist and the heel block using Blake method. So that gives you the kind of the benefits of both worlds. A light boot that has some very elegant styling and a narrow waist with a blind approach thanks to its Blake stitching. Really love this boot. I've been wearing it quite a bit, and I'm letting it kind of age naturally without shoe trees because I want it to develop rolls. This is all leather construction. Has a T-core type leather. I am leaving out too many to count, but we're gonna stop there, call it a day, and have you comment to tell me if you like this style of video or like these boots or want to learn more. How could I forget Kwan Shoemaker, amongst the coolest, but we'll have to wait on those until another video. So we'll go through these again in different detail. Hope you're all doing well. Take care and goodbye.